Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
For 85% of the grass-fed beef in the American market is imported product, not raised in America. Isn't that nuts? In 20 years, we've gone from being a very early innovator to just a mere meager portion of 15%.
Well, that's true, but it's not the worst part. The worst part is that imported beef is legally labeled product of the USA.
How's that?
If value is added in this country, it's a product of the USA. And we compete with it every day.
How did they add value?
Go ahead. No, you go. This is good.
If they grind it, slice it, cut it, package it, label it,
Rebox it,
transport it. But the animal, make no mistake, the animal was born, raised, and slaughtered in Uruguay, Australia, New Zealand, or 20 other countries.
The United States imports beef from places like Australia, Canada, and much of Latin America. It then runs that beef through USDA inspection, and if it passes, sticks a label on it that reads product of the USA. How dare you?
That's fucking outrageous.
They lie about everything, bro.
This is insane. This mysterious Booga sphere disappeared in Booga, Colombia in March 2025 and has left everyone baffled. Captured on video by two witnesses, the glowing metallic sphere moved intelligently, defying explanation. One witness even retrieved it, weighed it, and it was 2 kilograms, but when it was analyzed, it increased its weight to 10 kilograms. It resists heat, stays ice cold, evaporates water instantly, and contains a quantum chip embedded in a belt-like structure. And when analyzed by an expert, it shows no signs of welding. Some scientists believe it holds advanced non-human technology. Could it be extraterrestrial? The Booga sphere's bizarre properties, levitation, unexplained weight changes, mirror other famous cases like the Betts sphere in Florida. Is this some kind of surveillance network?
That's gotta be a hoax.
Nah, bro, it's legit.
Esta es la esfera de Booga. Es sólida. Tiene lo que parece ser algún tipo de circuitos. Tiene algún tipo de nomenclatura, de letras, de símbolos. Tiene estas medias lunas muy porosas que parece ser una especie de cavernas hacia su interior. Es absolutamente sólida. En el costado tiene lo que parece ser un cinturón. Pues algo que nunca imaginamos de estas esferas. Realmente se trata de un verdadero hallazgo, de un hallazgo extraordinario que tiene que ser investigado. Se trata de un chip cuántico. Esta esfera levita, es evidente que levita. ¿Cómo lo hace? Pues realmente no lo sé.
Did they find it in a KFC?
Shut up, bro, he's not the Colonel. I think you control it with your mind.
Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
I am certain of that.
You are certain? How certain are you?
100%.
I mean, Jordan, that's a pretty bold statement. Where does that certainty come from?
That certainty comes from my firsthand experience in what I term a psionic exploitation program between the years of 2005 and 2010, where I interfaced and worked with non-human intelligence and things like UAP directly.
I mean, Jordan, that is an incredible claim. For the viewer at home, what were you doing in this program on a daily basis?
Ultimately, what we were really investigating was how far could we stretch the bounds of human consciousness. Beyond that, how could we get human consciousness to interface directly with things like recovered materials and recovered crafts? What I can tell you from the craft and some of the different projects that we worked on directly is ultimately that they interfaced with us. What I mean by that is my consciousness could project
into these craft and recovered materials, and then access a suite of commands, essentially capabilities to do various things, including piloting. But ultimately, the story is not about piloting some UAP with your mind. This story is much more about what is consciousness?
Yeah.
Why can we interface with these things?
That's crazy if it's true.
Check out this experiment, bro.
What if I told you that science now proves that your thoughts creates this invisible energy that actually affects other people across the world? I'm Dr. Jason Wan, and I teach you about the science of biofield therapies. So in a recent randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled trial, which is a gold standard in science, shows how this energy healing practice was able to affect people's mental health. And while the placebo group showed actually a small improvement, which is to be considered, the blessing group actually showed much more significant improvements to things like stress, fatigue, and overall mental health. And the cool fact was that these improvements lasted 90 and 100 days after the treatment. And the key takeaway here is distant healing, or prayers, is actually effective because the practitioners were from Florida, United States, and the participants were from India. So this study is another example about how powerful our thoughts, our emotions, and our prayers are for healing purposes.
You'd think that'd be all over the news.
They don't want us to know about it, bro. They want to lock us down again.
Did you hear what they're trying to do in Edmonton, Alberta?
After 3 years of planning, city administration is presenting its vision to accommodate a population of 2 million people through 15-minute cities. 3 days of public hearings on the plan began at City Hall this morning. Shailen Skalski has more.
The 15 new district plans and corresponding bylaws will replace 54 existing planning documents dating back to the 1980s. Administration says the goal is to accommodate 600,000 new residents in redeveloped areas, with 50% of all new home units added through infill. The plan also calls for half of all future travel to be done by transit, and for residents to access all their daily needs within 15 minutes. Not everyone supports the plan.
My understanding is that this means I will need to stay within my district to meet all my needs so that the city can meet its climate plan objectives.
I don't think Edmontonians can afford to be part of a renovation experiment of this size so quickly.
I think unfortunately a lot of the district plan in particular have been derailed by 15-minute cities, conspiracy theories, World Economic Forums, etc. At the end of the day, this is about land use.
Now, they're selling it to you as this convenient, easy, awesome thing that makes everything more efficient. But there is a seriously dark, sinister agenda behind all this, which I can't even mention on video.
I'll tell them. They're gonna lock us down again.
Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications, using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. If there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones.
It's terrifying, bro.
We're going to start pushing digital currencies soon.
70 quid a week. You've just told me you couldn't live on that.
Well, no, I have a mortgage to pay.
I cannot believe he actually said that. Sorry, could we just replay what he said?
That we're living on about £70 a week. Could you live on 70 quid a week?
Absolutely not.
So why do you expect young people to?
We won't. We provide housing benefit as well, and we'll provide personal independence payments.
This is cash in their pocket. This is 70 quid.
So are the things I just
week.
mentioned to you. So are the things I just mentioned to you. That's how the benefit system works. If people need help with their rent, they receive that as well. If they need support with a disability, personal independence payments.
So to buy food, to pay bills,
yes,
70 quid a week. No. You've just told me you couldn't live on that.
Well, no, I have a mortgage to pay.
He actually responded with,
well, no, I have a mortgage to pay. I'm gobsmacked, honestly. It's rare that happens. He may as well have just come out and said, no. You need to understand, this is only meant to hurt the plebs, the hoi polloi, the riffraff. His tone is grating enough, a tone used when justifying slashing £5 billion worth of support from disabled people, from people who are sick, from the most vulnerable people in our country, some of whom are set to end up losing £6,300 a year. The sheer arrogance, the contempt oozing from every pore, from a minister who earns £1,013,720 a year.
I think this is how they're going to introduce digital currency. It'll be given like a universal income, but you'll only be able to spend it where they let you.
Yeah, bro, and only buy what you're allowed.
Shall I predict the collapse of Bitcoin due to... I couldn't believe this. Okay, so I have been critical of Bitcoin because I say, and maybe this is a stupid argument, but I just say there's never been anything in history that could not be broken from a tech standpoint, right? In Bitcoin, it's called a cryptocurrency because it is based on cryptography. The whole thing works because of cryptography. That you could have a public blockchain that can't be hacked because it's encrypted. Like the keys are encrypted to access wallets and all that. But now Google apparently has come out with a quantum computer that could break all known encryption.
In minutes versus years. To break some of the encryption before was years, right? Decades.
Right, so like if somebody figures out how to build a quantum computer like what Google has built and then applies it to the blockchain to steal people's money, this is why I'm like, why would we build a global financial system on top of cryptocurrency if that's a risk?
It's a good point. When quantum computers are available, you won't be able to use digital currency.
That's why they've been moving around all the gold, bro.
I think we're in serious trouble today, don't you? Take a look at the world. I mean, what happened? How'd we get here? How'd we get here to where there's like two people who own everything, right? There's a bunch of authoritarians that are trying to take over the planet. How'd we get here? It didn't happen by accident. I'm not advertising for Soviet-style communism because I went to the Soviet Union in 1984. It was completely broken. But you at least had some other system. Today, it's the market. The market is God. You tell someone who's under 20, you're a sellout, they think it means you have no more tickets left. They don't know what it means. So where does that leave us? The whole point is to inspire creativity, to inspire a world which is creating artists at a rapid rate, and instead what we teach is, that's a good franchise. Get into that franchise. We used to think of franchises as McDonald's and Burger King. Now we talk about it with cinema. What happened? Something happened. Why are we talking about that more? Where is the critique of capitalism itself, which has led to a system of horrendous inequality? So when you ask me about where we are today, we're in deep trouble. And it's up to artists to show what's wrong, because it's not coming from anywhere else, I can tell you that.
I couldn't have said it better.
I signed a bit of paper that they put in front of me. I remember going home and thinking, what have I done? Why did I sign that bit of paper? And I woke up the next morning and I'd been removed from Unilad.
You're joking me.
Kicked off the Facebook, completely booted out of the business. Completely removed from everything, the bank account, Facebook pages, the website, everything, the email. I've been completely locked out of the entire company that I had started myself 3 years ago at university. I'd been completely kicked out of my own company. Eventually, my friend, I went for a drink with my friend and he had some legal experience and he looked at the bit of paper I had signed in Brighton. They're not allowed to do what they've done.
Yeah.
They can't, this bit of paper does not give them entitlement to do what they've done to you. You need to go see a lawyer. And he dragged me to a solicitor and my solicitor looked at what I had signed and looked at everything that had happened subsequently and he agreed. He said, it's unlawful what they've done. You're still a partner, you still own Unilad, but if you want to fight this is probably going to
cost you a lot.
Cost me a lot, and it'd probably take 2-3 years if they fight it back. And that was the start of a 5-year legal battle.
If you've got enough lawyers, you can get away with anything.
The whole legal system's rigged, bro.
A former Bush official came out today and said that they spent over $21 trillion to build underground cities and military bases in case of an extinction event. This underground city/military facility, along with transportation, was meant for the rich and elite to stay in the event of an extinction event. She appeared on the Tucker Carlson podcast and explained where the money went. Take a listen to this.
But there is a history of near extinction events. And one of the things that I've looked at, because I'm trying to figure out, between fiscal 1998 and fiscal 2015, there were 21 trillion of undocumentable adjustments in the U.S. government. If you go to our website, missingmoney.solera.com, we have years and years of documentation, including the government financials that show this.
So my question is, all these cities that were allegedly built all over the United States underground, complete with transportation systems, no one came forward, no one dropped a dime. I know you could sign these NDAs, non-disclosure forms where you have to keep your mouth shut on certain projects, but somebody had to tell somebody, and somebody had to slip up somewhere. It shouldn't have took this long for this to come out and this to get exposed. Like I said, the timing is kind of eerie with the Sean Diddy Combs case happening in New York City right now, that trial beginning. Is this a distraction or a victory once again for the tinfoil hat conspirators?
She's a plant, right?
The Diddy case is probably a distraction from something else.
The official P. Diddy party list has just been released, and here is the list of all the names that they mentioned. The first one that was mentioned was Jay-Z, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, Usher, Mary J. Blige, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ashton Kutcher, Paris Hilton, Howard Stern, Russell Brand, Mariah Carey, Megan Fox, Pink, Justin Bieber, 50 Cent, Kendall Jenner, Kylie Jenner, Lil' Kim, Drake, Snoop Dogg, Alicia Keys, Serena Williams, David Beckham, Victoria Beckham, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Brown, Rick Ross, Nicki Minaj, Tyler the Creator, Megan Thee Stallion, Post Malone, Travis Scott, Ellen DeGeneres, Kevin Hart, Jamie Foxx, Oprah Winfrey, Quincy Jones, DJ Khaled, Madonna, Lenny Kravitz, A$AP Rocky, Cardi B, Kris Jenner, Lupita Nyong'o, Sean Penn, Tyrese Gibson, Zendaya, Big Sean.
I don't mean they're all guilty.
Trust me, bro. They knew what was going on.
We now know that there is 190 celebrity names on the Diddy list for court. These will be a mixture of the accused, the accuser, and even witnesses that could back up victims' testimonies. It's important to know that some of these names have also been dropped solely because of association. A lot of people have been asking, where's all these people that come forward? Where's all these lawsuits that have been heavily documented this year? Why are these people not being mentioned in the Diddy trial? Well, I have an answer. Now, it's been documented that the prosecution has chose to focus on a relatively small number of accusers, and they're only dealing with allegations that can be backed up with either evidence or witnesses, meaning anybody who has accused Diddy of something without any physical proof is just not going to make the cut for court in their eyes. Now, something actually come out of court today just after the jurors were sent home. The prosecution has raised concerns, and that is because they can't get hold of victim number 3. They have continuously tried to get hold of her and can't. They're now raising doubts whether or not victim number 3 is even going to testify next week. So where's she gone? Because I'm more suspicious and concerned about her given the circumstances. It does make me wonder if all of these celebrities are very much going to get away scot-free.
Of course they are.
They're going to Epstein Diddy, bro.
A bill to rename Greenland has been introduced in the House as President Trump continues his efforts to buy what is currently a Danish-controlled island. Under the legislation drafted by Republican Congressman from Georgia, Earl Buddy Carter, the new name would be, and this is not Dr. Seuss, this is the bill, H.R. 1161, I think, if I read that right?
Yep.
red, white, and blue land. So Greenland would become red, white, and blue land. The Georgia lawmaker said America is back and bigger than ever, adding Trump has correctly identified the purchase of Greenland as a national security priority. Leaders of Greenland and Denmark, they say the island's not for sale.
That's gotta be satire.
Nah, bro. It's true.
Fuck's sake, I can't believe this. It's ridiculous. Red, white and blue don't mean fuck all to the rest of the world. They're just colours. Our flag's red, white and blue. France's is red, white and blue. And it wouldn't be blue land, it'd be Blueland. But fuck all that.
Idiocracy is becoming a reality. Go check out our deep dive on Idiocracy, bro.
Have you heard of the Mountain Dew conspiracy theory?
Mountain Dew? No, I haven't.
This one's fun.
Let's hear it.
Every time Mountain Dew makes a marketing push for a new drink or a new flavor that they have, it coincides with a world event that typically isn't that great.
That's terrifying. Let's hear it.
So, Mountain Dew Code Red came out in 2001.
I know what event happened then. This is not good.
Maui burst. Right after they dropped that, 3 months later, the wildfires happened in Maui.
Wow, that's crazy.
You ready for this one?
Ready.
The Star Spangled Splash came out last year. Do you know who wrote the Star Spangled Banner?
George Washington.
Francis Scott Key. What bridge fell last year in Baltimore? The Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Oh.
Yes!
3 months after?
That's kind of like immediately after that one. Pitch black. A few years ago, we had a blackout in the IT world. July 19, 2024. Various IT systems around the world experienced an outage.
Mountain Dew dropped it and it went dark.
Yes. Another one. Tropical swirl. Crazy hurricanes that wouldn't end in Southeast America just a few months after they dropped that flavor.
They also, I just looked it up, they're dropping a mango rush flavor.
Yeah.
It might be a flub.
It literally might be.
And you can only get it at Little Caesars.
Ooh.
So where are the most Little Caesars, Zach?
Did you look that up?
No, but we saw one in Houston.
They're just coincidences.
Nah, bro. It's all pre-planned.
Have you guys ever seen these photos of what washed up on the shore straight off the coast of St. Augustine?
No.
Okay, in the late 1800s, this unidentified creature washed up on the shore. It's like 18 feet long, but what's super interesting is they said it had 7 legs and a tail. But as like research has continued on this creature, they're surmising it wasn't a tail, it was the 8th appendage. And most of the octopus-like arms had been cut pretty short. You know, this thing had been dead in the sea. And when you think about some of the earliest stories of creatures like this, or like the pirate era, 1700s,
Like
and
a kraken.
yeah, like they're saying because of the size of this thing, and if it were an actual octopus, the tentacles could have been like 100-foot long.
Oh.
Because they're like, you can see them in the photos, but they're like this big around at the nubs.
Oh my god!
And so the actual creature would have been what we see pictures of, like the stories we hear. And so they took samples and they compared it to octopus, and they said a tissue sample, it's like octopi giganta something in Latin, but they're calling it a giant octopus. That's what it is.
Whoa.
Dr. DeWitt Webb in November 30th of 1896 is the first person who arrived where 2 boys had discovered this octopus on the beach. And so it's a professional science person who actually collected the first samples.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, this is right off the coast, right off St. Augustine. So all those pictures we see of pirates and stuff, that is real. Dude. For some reason, we don't know about it.
The Smithsonian hide the proof, bro.
Andy said we should do an episode on the Smithsonian.
This is seriously some of the craziest shit I've ever heard in my entire life, so please buckle in. Before I get into it, let me preface, some of the stuff in this is documented, there is proof of it. Some of the other bits I'm not 100% sure of, so I'll explain as we go along. So first of all, you probably saw all the studies that came out a while ago. We do know what happens to our brain when we pass away. Research came out in the States when they monitored people before death and after. It showed when going into a cardiac arrest, our brain goes into like this dream-like state, which could be a number of things, processing your life, rewatching your memories, etc. But now this coming out, yeah. So there's been a lot of these videos coming out over the last day from people who have found all of this research. People finding it on Yandex, which is like the Russian equivalent to Google. Now, what is crazy but 100% true and documented is that they, along with other people in the world, have been researching what happens to our brain when this happens. But what's interesting is this country's unique take on how they've been doing that reportedly. Essentially having volunteers' brains monitored while they're alive and when they're gone by putting something in there which they can then track the brain waves with. Now, you probably remember this place. It sounds confusing, but it will make sense in a minute. A while ago, the news broke of this crazy discovery that the James Webb Telescope found Jade GSZ14. Millions and millions of light years away, you ain't going there anytime soon, but could potentially be habitable, who knows. Now, what apparently came out in these Russian documents yesterday said that man who passed away, they monitored his brain activity, and it showed after death the activity spiked, like we know before, living dreams or whatever it could be. It also reportedly showed he was here. in this other galaxy. I do not have a clue how the logistics of this work or how the hell they found this out. It does not sound very feasible to me, but there's been lots of people making videos on this online. Candidly, I couldn't find the research anywhere because it's all in Russian. But the amount of people that have been making videos on it saying that this document did genuinely come out and this happened this week, it's quite interesting. But the one thing we do know for certain is that this research has been going on for years. We do know that brain activity spikes after you go, whether you're processing memories, rewatching parts of your life, or creating alternate realities that you could even be in right now.
There's a lot we don't know about the afterlife, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold on, Ted, we've got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang bang!
Blap, blap.
Click something from our website and we'll send it straight out.
Let's check TedsTales.com. You can look as dope as these guys.
Thanks to everyone buying the merch and all our new channel members.
Come and join the Discord, bro. It's free.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.